I did 35 surveys last year.
Mm.
Are they long? No. Did I always get hundreds of people to do them? Absolutely not. But when I'm trying to solve a problem, instead of going, should I do this or should I do that? Or I don't know, should I do this? Or stop guessing. Just ask and find out. Don't think. Just do. The reason is because, we will think ourselves right out of a good idea.
Ouch.
Right? Like, and then you'll see someone else do it.
Hello. Welcome to another knowledge bomb episode of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential and together change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, we have Jenna Capozzi.
And if this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of these amazing episodes. And if you're on iTunes, go ahead and rate the podcast and leave a review. That helps get the word out to great leaders and entrepreneurs like yourself.
Please help me welcome Jenna with Elevating Your Online Presence in 2025.
This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
I started very young in the Hollywood industry, in the movie making industry at age 19, and did that for 3 decades. And then one day I decided I wanted to do something different, and now I help women in leadership roles in business do better in life. But I'm a mom and I'm a wife and a creator, and change in my life. I had turned 51 years old. I was bored as can be in life. I had a successful career and did well, but thought that I just wanted to do something a bit different with the next 50 years of my life. And, I wanted to find women that were probably in a similar boat. The children are older, or they're bored of their corporate job, or now it's their time, or it's that reinvention. And it felt like the more and more I spoke to women my age, that was really a niche market. It's because it's the most relatable to me. I understand the market. I understand what it's like to go through that change. And I wanted to be a resource for women who wanted to do a bit more or something different.
Around 40 years old, women are becoming grandmothers, and their children, in most cases, they've moved on, they're in college, and so life is transitioning. So what is that, talking to a man, or for men to understand this, maybe can help some that his wife is shifting and he don't understand. Maybe you can help us on that.
I think there's a lot shifting, or you have me. I had my second child at 45. So I have found that, I'm in the Gen X generation, and we are a bit older moms, sort of speaking. I think it's obviously where you come from or whatever, but there is a variety. I mean, I have women my age who are grandparents. I have women my age who are just mothers. I had a friend, she had her daughter at 47, so things change. But I think what it looks like is this. I think we, especially with all the technology and all the AI and social media and all that it's different, like you can still be I think the main trigger is like, can I still be there for my family, for my children, for my husband, and be able to have a side hustle? Absolutely, you can. And so I think that has opened up a whole different world for women, especially. A lot of my clients are actually real go-getter women who were, 7-figure businesses, 6-figure businesses, major executive in a corporation, but man, they're tired. We've been doing it for 30 years. We're at a different point of let's do something a bit different. And I think what's really been interesting, or what this landscape looks like, is that the most surveyed question, or answer, I should say, is that most women feel very alone. They feel alone in making this decision, don't feel like there's community, maybe a little nervous to say that they want to do something different. I know I was. People are like, wow, you're completely retiring from Hollywood, but you have movie offers or you have commercial offers. Isn't that so great? And I'm like, yeah, it was so great for 30 years. And I ended off on a really big win, like a major, major commercial with major budget, with major stars, and won awards. It was such a great time to go, and I'm good, you know? And
Yeah.
and I think that there is a humanitarian point for a lot of women. Like, I want to do something that's worthwhile, you know?
Mm.
And I feel like this world needs some help. And I really wanted to help. I help women who are mostly interested in leadership, women who are
Okay.
interested in going on podcasts, women who are interested in being on social media, who want to help. I don't care if they're helping one person, 5 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. Let's just lend a hand to each other and not be in this crazy world we've been in of so much hate and discussion on social media. So that
Oh
was sort of
man.
the impetus for me, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And so you're talking about 40 to 50 years old. And I mean, we have to be honest. I mean, technology, I mean, the internet, and now we have AI. And so now you have AI. AI have, I mean, it really, if you know how to use AI, it can accelerate
It's
your
amazing.
time and you can do so much more. I mean, AI is limitless. What are some of those things that you see individuals miss because they're used to doing the same thing? This is way mother did it. This is way grandmother did it. And they just kind of keep on with the same tradition. And then you have to tell them, hey, girl, that's a better way. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think the best example is, I mean, I launched this new business November 2023 purely out of desperation. The savings account went to below $100. I'll just be
Mm,
honest.
yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess I better do a podcast, and made $9,000 from that podcast. So clearly the following week I did another podcast, and
Absolutely.
within 2 months I did 120,000 by the time the year was over. Plus, keep in mind, I was hit with a couple of hurricanes and my house got completely flooded here in Tampa Bay.
Wow.
So even doing that, I did well over $350,000 in my first year, all by myself
Yeah.
and AI.
Yeah.
That was the only way to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I run into that a lot, like, oh, AI scares me. Well, what's scary? Or,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to do that because they're going to find out my bank account. They already know your bank account information. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Oh,
oh, I
yeah.
don't want to pay the. It's like, there's those walls that I can see some older generations put into place in fear of technology, but I really don't feel that it's fear. I feel like it's just a lack of knowledge. And one
Mm,
of the things that and believe me, I have clients who are in their 70s and they're
wow.
my favorite and they're amazing. And they're
Amazing.
one starting a
Awesome.
podcast, the other one's writing a movie script, the other one's writing a book, and they're funny and they're amazing. And I love these women so much because they
Yeah.
just don't care, but they
Yeah.
care about what it is that their message, what they want to do, and they're
Yeah.
just gorgeous. But even with them, I'll just train them a little bit using AI. I'll train them in the new technology, but I really have to keep it simple.
Mm,
So with my clients, I've made it very simple. I do a lot of demos and courses and show them how to like do things on the computer. I just happen to be a little bit of a technical nerd.
yeah.
And also, I think because in the movie business, it's very technical. So I had a high tolerance of learning how to edit and all that
Yeah.
latest
Yeah.
software.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you need it. You need to move with the tide.
Yeah.
You need to
Hmm.
move. Right now, AI is a blue ocean. There's so much opportunity. I study it every day. I'm just learning and learning. Right now, I'm just trying to close the gap on, lead to sales,
Mm.
with AI and just, anyways, yeah.
Absolutely. And even talking about that, I mean, it's for example for you, someone may be listening right now, like how did you do that? How did you do that with a podcast? What are some of the strategy? What are some of the things that you do that maybe someone should know?
Yeah, I think my training as a producer is what's really helped me be a strong businesswoman.
Mm,
When I left the mainstream film industry, I started my own content creation company, and I say that skill set helps because as a producer, let's say in a film, you start from the inception of an idea to find the money of the idea to get the idea created and then get it done in post production. But then you got to sell the idea. And
yeah.
that's one of the reasons, why people say, I don't understand producers. It's like, well, they actually are the individual who's responsible for the whole enchilada, right? Like
Uh,
it's great that you can go work on a movie and make it, but if you ain't selling it and people aren't seeing it, you're not doing another movie,
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
So I think that mindset of having to understand the market always, having to be in really good communication with an audience and having to build an audience for a product has lent itself to me being a very good business person. So I can
Mm,
think with what is the information that is missing that I need in order to execute an idea.
mm, mm.
And so I'm saying that to start with, because then that goes into, okay, what am I missing? I'll just use this as an example. Let's say I wanted to create some marketing content that's going to draw in an audience.
Mm.
Who's the best at that? You know, let's say I really want to understand why, as an entrepreneur, I can't really scale my business. It's like, well, listen to the E-Myth, E-Myth Revisited. It's a brilliant, takeaway of how you understand the entrepreneur and how to really look at your business and how do you really franchise it and how do you really scale instead of being the operator always, instead of being
Yes.
the owner. And so I would study these people, or Dan Wardrobe, I'm just reading his AI agency. It's not my thing, but it's also just like, let me understand it. Grant Cardone's 10X, like I study him a lot and to understand like, okay, where are we with that passion, that drive, and how to really push yourself. So I think it's like always grabbing something to stay knowledgeable. But
Yeah.
I kind of keep my finger on the pulse of like what is hot. And I might not listen to something all the way to the end. I mean, Maria Wendt, she is like the queen of selling, cheap digital. I say cheap, they're not, her information's very good, but very
Yeah.
inexpensive digital products.
Yes.
And so I'm like, great. And now I've launched like 3 digital products, and I'm like, surprised that they just start selling.
Yeah.
So I think I observe and watch people, but I always think with what problem am I trying to solve? Because I think what happens for most people is they get very dispersed and they get very confused because there's so many different gimmicks and ideas coming at one who wants to expand their business. And I think at the end of the day, you have to remember, what is my message? What am I really communicating? What is my actual goal? What
Mm.
do I want to achieve? Because man, you can watch a great Instagram video and next thing you know, you're being an affiliate marketer and that's never what you wanted to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's just remembering really what is your mission and what is the core values to your business and what you want to do.
I love this. And you talked about, knowing your core and what problems are you solving. So let's say individual get to the point and say, okay, I know the problem I'm solving, but listen, if I go on the internet right now, there's so many people. I mean, it's flooded with information. How did you bust through the seams of all of the noise going on?
I think it's important to remember, who are you serving? Who
Mm,
is that audience you are serving? And what does that audience need and want? I don't know if you've seen any of my videos or anything. I'm really big on survey.
mhm.
It's the missing step for most people. And I think if you ask somebody, what is your product good for? And if their answer is everyone,
Yeah.
they haven't done their homework.
Mm,
Because while your product could be great for everyone, it's not going to be great for everyone out of the gate. Who are
yeah.
you marketing to then? You
Yeah.
got to pick a group and you got to go find out and you got to survey, how is my product going to solve their problem, their pain point, or how is my product going to give them pleasure or an experience they want to have? It's the only 2 reasons why people buy.
Mm,
They're solving a problem or there's something they want to do.
yeah.
That's it, the story. And so I think that's where it gets confusing for people, is they forget that or they don't want to survey. And I'm like, it's actually the cheat code. Like if you survey and you survey correctly, you're going to find out that my audience of the blue people all want to eat oranges. Well,
Mm,
guess what? Then I'm going to start selling them oranges. I'm going to tell them why the orange is so great. And then
yeah.
it's really easy, but people don't do that. And I tell people too, my clients, I'm like, listen, when I'm being paid or I'm given a budget of $6 million to go shoot a commercial for Samsung with their new flip phone,
Mm.
You don't think they had me doing market research for 3 months and surveying and trying to find out what exactly the audience was? Absolutely.
Yeah.
A team of 12 to 13 people doing market research, which is
Yeah.
surveying.
Yeah.
We figure out the right words and the right buttons. And there's a whole technology to do that, but it's actually really simple.
Let's talk about that because you're saying something that I want to kind of spend a little time with this because most people, especially listening to the podcast, most of our audience, they know what problem they're trying to solve. They know who they're serving. They, in a sense of, I would say, most likely know their target audience. But that aspect of find out the information to help get you to that target audience. I want to kind of perfect that. So, what are some things that we can do to make that happen?
Yeah, well, I do have a survey course for $47, so they
Okay.
can obviously buy that. But I'll give you some tips for your audience. So one of the mistakes is that people will survey with multiple choice. You absolutely do not want to survey with multiple choice. And
Mm.
here's why. You're feeding the audience the answer. People are
Uh,
lazy. They're just going to do it quick.
uh,
The reason why you survey, let me back up. You have to know the reason why you're surveying. If you're surveying to find out if your product is good, that's a different kind of survey. If you're surveying to find out how I'm going to promote to the audience I'm serving,
mm,
that's a different kind of survey. And let's talk about that latter one first. If I am going to survey, because I'm doing a market survey, I want to find out what words are going to be the right trigger for the audience I'm serving in order for them to want to buy my product.
mm,
So you imagine if you give multiple choice and you're feeding them that, you're never getting their words. You're never getting what their actual viewpoint is. So when you survey for market research, you want it so that they have to answer you in a text format.
mm,
And so what I walk people through on my course is you only ask about 7 questions, 3 pain points, 3 pleasure points.
mm.
And then the last question is, if you had a magic wand and you could, use, my product to do whatever, what would that look like? Or if you had whatever the problem is, let's say if you had a magic wand to, clean your house the best, what would that look like? Whatever I don't know what the product is we're selling. And what you'll start to see when you survey is you'll see some repeated words. You'll see some patterns, the way people speak.
Wow.
Because of social media, there's all this group agreement on how things go.
Yeah.
They start seeing it. And then you take all those answers and you throw it into AI in a very specific way. And
Oh,
AI will
man.
actually formulate it for you. I
Yeah.
walk people through this on the course. And then you'll see it. You'll just see it. And it'll say, I always want to clean. I always want it to be sparkly clean, or I want my windows to be super clear, or whatever it is. And guess what? That's your promotion. In order to have windows that are sparkly clean and super clear, buy Windex, And so, like I said, it's a cheat code. It's like so silly and easy, but you have to write the questions in such a way that get not a yes, no answer, and also give you the right information. So in my course, I kind of walk people, it's a $47 course, but I walk people through how you actually write the questions to elicit the right answers. And then I also show people how to set it up on Typeform, because I like Typeform because you can text it to people and people can answer it with dictation. So if they're giving you short text, they can just hit their speaker button and just give it to you in dictation, which is fantastic because then you're really getting how they say it. So anyways, these are the little tricks that just make it worth your while. And you don't need a ton of people. Like if you had 25 people, you'll see enough of a pattern, or 20 people, you know what I mean? Just has to be the right group.
Knowledge bomb. This is so good. You're really helping us. You're dropping some gems. While you were talking, you used a word, and the word stood out to me, and I just want you to kind of bring it out. You said imagine if you da 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 da. Imagine if you da 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 da. Why did you use the word imagine?
I'm really happy you pulled that out. I feel like imagination is a genius trait. Imagination is the ability to see the future.
Yeah.
And, we always feel better. I just noticed that I always feel better when I'm dreaming or imagining my future,
Yeah.
but I'll feel a little nervous if I think about the past and all the bad things.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be a little neurotic if I'm thinking about everything presently that I have to do and bills I have to pay and this with the kids and that and that. But my quiet place or my creation, like where I'm creating, is my future. And that's imagination.
Yeah.
And there's power in that, because if we start imagining the way we want things to go, they have a tendency to go pretty close to that idea. But
Yeah.
if we don't look at it,
Mm.
what are we creating? We don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we're not, you got to look, you got to confront sort of that forward viewpoint and
Yeah.
be willing to just, I was telling this to a client of mine last week. She was a bit stressed out. And I said, look, if you like, you're going to give your child, I think it was her daughter's birthday party. So you're going to give your daughter a birthday party. Don't you imagine what the decorations are going to look like and the cards are going to look like and what kind of cake you're going to get and what food you're going to have? And she's like, well, yeah. I said, that's imagination. It's not
Yeah.
happening right now.
Yeah.
You're creating that. It's the same thing with your business. It's the same thing with helping people. When you start a new business or you're in business for a while, one of the lessons I have learned recently is how important it is to pivot when you need to pivot. And I think people start to head in a direction they imagine, they have this idea of how it should go, and you start heading in that direction and you need to change. And here's the example. I've had to pivot from even what I was doing last year because I tried a lot of different things last year, and I ended the year doing a lot more coaching than doing retreats and live events, partially because the hurricane really did take a toll on us.
Right.
And the coaching was not, I'm not offering it this year. I'm pivoting from it. I made a lot of money from it, but I don't help as many people as I want to help with that. So, I coach a little differently now. It's more in group setting and things like that. So I guess my point is like, it's okay to pivot. It's okay to change. And I think the confidence will come with really, again, surveying and knowing what your audience needs and wants, because it changes. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, because you said the word, and you could have just said if you da da da, but you said imagine if da da da, and even me personally, when you said that, I don't know, something clicked, and my mind began to imagine what you were getting ready to say. So I'm picturing it, and it's like everything you said from that point when you said imagine. You started writing a live movie in my mind, and I'm imagining everything you just said from point A to point B. And I was like, man, I got to bring that out because man, I mean, you giving not only words, but you giving the visual. I mean, and it's causing us to use our creative mindset. So yeah, hats off to you on that. And I tell you, that alone, I mean, that's evidence of why you're so successful. Man,
Very insightful. Thank you.
It is your course. Why is it important for an individual to purchase your course right now?
I think the survey course is essential to somebody who's starting out, but also to somebody who isn't scaling. Like, things have changed, things have shifted. Why? And so I did 35 surveys last year. Are they long? No. Did I always get hundreds of people to do them? Absolutely not. But when I'm trying to solve a problem, instead of going, should I do this or should I do that? Or I don't know, should I do this or stop guessing? Just ask and find out. Don't think, just do. The reason is because, we will think ourselves right out of a good idea,
Ouch.
right? Like, oh, and then you'll see someone else do it and you're like, I had that idea. Why don't you act on it?
Yeah.
The other thing is that it has to do with, I believe, self-confidence. Like, your decision to do something is usually right off the bat. It's usually wrong when you start thinking about it, because now you're thinking with what? Are you thinking with what mom told you when you were younger? Are you thinking with what some teacher told you? Are you thinking with like some boyfriend, some other thing you see? But your own knowingness is usually correct right off the bat. I mean, how many times have we said, man, I wish I knew that, or I had an instinct, or I shouldn't have been friends with that person.
All the time.
because we think too much.
Yeah.
The other thing is that when you have enough self-confidence, just go act and do something. You're not going to do something that's stupid.
Yeah.
Just do it. And you know what? If it isn't the right course of action, guess what? You can just change the course of action. And
Yeah.
that's life. But I think what happens, and especially for women, I've noticed, actually shockingly for women, I notice it freezes them. I think they call it the analysis paralysis or whatever that is.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
that's just thinking too much. It's
Yeah.
just, sometimes it's gotten me in trouble, but for the most part, I've had a lot of huge opportunities because I didn't think,
Mm.
It's how I got to meet Martin Scorsese when I was, 22 years old, fresh out of film school, because
Yeah.
I didn't think, and somehow sitting in his lobby for 4 hours made all the sense in the world to go meet him. And we didn't have cell phones back then, so it was really boring. But, I but I got to meet him and
Yeah.
I got to get some advice from him, and he gave me 15 minutes of his time in his office. You know what I mean? So
What are some things you learned from them?
the biggest thing was I asked him, I said, I'm fresh out of NYU film school. What would be just that, word of advice? And I
Yeah.
did not word it properly at all. I was so nervous. I was, he was very kind. And his advice was just do it, which
Mm.
of course sounds like a Nike ad. But he said, I made 27 horrible films before I even made Mean Streets.
Yeah.
And especially at that time, the trap was, I mean, now that seems so obvious because you can use your cell phone to make a movie,
Yeah.
but at the time, remember, it was film. So
Yeah.
it was not an inexpensive craft to go after. Film was expensive,
Yeah.
and you couldn't just film. You had to have lights. You didn't have automatic focus, and
Yeah.
you couldn't just get sound. You needed to so you needed people. It was
Yeah.
collaborative. Where now, you could just go and have it all hanging off your body, and
Yeah.
it's just all done, right?
Yeah. It's amazing.
So it wasn't easy to just do it. I was speaking to at my son's school, the high school students, and I saw that didn't land on them well. And I said, well, and I had to go through that whole explanation. Like, guys, it wasn't like, you could just run out and do it yourself. So that was it. I think what I took away from that was just whatever craft or whatever it is that you want to go after. Again, it comes back to this: don't think, just do. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. It's not going to be perfect off the bat. And I think women struggle, especially with perfection. Maybe men do as well, but it just will not be perfect the first time you do something. Absolutely not. Maybe the 10th time, maybe the 100th time, but man, imagine if we don't do it.
Man, organization is really driven by, some amazing go-getter women that just makes it happen.
So I was saying this to a friend of mine. It's not like one is right or wrong. And most men, and again, we're speaking generalities, do have the support system of a wife.
Yeah.
And where most women, it's a different support system. And women are multifaceted. So when I was talking to this group of women recently, I said, listen, we've been told by a lot of strong businessmen, do one thing, get up early in the morning and do that thing and be obsessed and go, go, go. Like Grant Cardone says that. And I actually know Grant. I've known him for a long time, and his wife. And that's true for him. But for women, we also have to manage the kids and the schedules and this and that and this. And I'll tell you, I'll hire a working mom any day of the week, because that person is like, give it to a busy person, right? They know how to get stuff done. I know how to get stuff done very efficiently. And it's not that it's wrong. It's just that's our survival mechanism. We're very multifaceted. So I can be on the sidelines of a soccer game and handle, and like I went to my daughter's track meet 3 weeks ago, and I made $5,000 sitting in the stands, not because I wasn't doing anything, because, I'm sending a few texts to close a few sales while she's also running, and I can give her my attention. Do you know what I mean? It's just, that's the difference. And that's what I want to celebrate about women. You're multifaceted. Don't hide it. It's okay to go to the soccer game and hit up the grocery store and then, maybe send one more email. It's all right. That's how we do it.
Knowledge. This is so awesome. I'm telling you, it really, give me a minute. Give me a minute to process that. That was pretty eye-opening to me.
Yeah.
But I love it. And I can't explain it. But man,
I have a friend who went out on his own the same time I went on my own under this new kind of business. and he's doing something similar. And this was a year ago, and he said to me, he's like, "How's it going?" I said, "It's going good. It's going good. It's building. It's going good." He's like, "Oh, I'm doing so great." I'm like, "That's awesome, man." He's like, "Yeah, but I have a wife." He's like, "I just get to show up and do that one thing." I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's fine. It's all." But it was cute that he recognized that,
It's
I still do the
true. It's
laundry
really
and the food
true.
and all that.
It's really
Yeah,
true. I mean,
totally.
even our organization, I mean, we're doing well, but I'm gonna be I'm serious. It's I don't even know how to feel about this, but it's man, if it wasn't for my wife, it's no way. No way.
Absolutely.
And
And it,
I'll be a man to admit it. If it wasn't for my wife, the things that we have accomplished this year alone, it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened because she have this thing that I don't have it. I don't have it. I have the vision. I have the problem solving skills. I mean, we work good together, but man, she's on the, I mean, she's a grinder. She's a
well,
grinder.
and how beautiful that you guys have that. Like that's
Yeah.
the whole point of the family unit. It's like you get married and you have kids and you do that and they start growing up and then it's like, okay, now what are we going to do as a couple together? What is our goal? How are we going to make a difference together? And that's where
Yes.
some people miss that in a marriage. And marriages change, it's
Yeah.
like even my husband and I went through something even recently. We're hitting 20 years and we're like, okay, now what's the next 10 years going to look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah.
Let's create on that. Let's imagine what that's going to go, and it has to be that ever sort of evolving thing. But
Yeah.
that's beautiful that your wife has your
Yeah.
back and supporting and you have her back and
Yeah.
supporting.
When I got to the point where
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is her strength, this is my strength, this is her weakness, this is my weakness, and
Beautiful.
complementing each other, it really
Yeah.
it sends us in this synergy that I mean we're really thriving on right now. I'm not saying everything perfect because I mean we
No, it's a
business
living,
we
breathing
right yeah
relationship.
yeah
We have our good days and bad days. I
yeah
don't
we
know how old she is, but I'm in my early 50s. Like
yeah
sometimes there's some interesting days.
yeah
So
yeah
yeah, but that's really it's amazing that you recognize that and that you guys are growing in that because I think there's also a lot of marriages that will, the kids move out and it's like
yeah
they don't really go, great, let's regroup
yeah
here.
yeah
I mean, I think if anything, the one thing about social media, maybe on my feed, I don't know if it's on your feed, I am seeing more of this like, let's actually have a conversation. Let's just
yeah
like take a moment. Let's like recognize that you're an apple and I'm an orange, but cool. Like my husband and I are so different. Like
yeah
we like different music, different movies, but
yeah.
we really like each other.
That's
So
what's
we're
so awesome, right?
different. Yeah,
Yeah
and for us that works. We like that we have
yeah
our different
yeah
things.
yeah yeah
But cool.
yeah
Where some couples they want it all to be the same. To each his own, I think
yeah
is we're going off in a different direction, but I think it
yeah.
is something to speak to. And congratulations on 27 years because,
Absolutely. Congratulations on
comes by in a
20.
blink though, doesn't it?
Yes, yes, it's crazy, crazy.
I know.
Yeah, yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy. Man, this is awesome. This is awesome. I'm really enjoying the conversation. Uh, what are some practical leadership growth tips, tools, advice that you can share with the Lead to Greatness community to help us reach our greatest potential?
I think to be the best leader is the ability to help inspire someone to be the best at what it is that they do so well.
Okay.
You could say the best version, but it's not barking orders as we know. It's
Yeah,
not, it's leading with confidence and strength. And I really try and be that pillar for others,
yeah,
but also pulling what I love more than anything is when somebody has an aha moment about some sort of strength of their own
yeah,
or an aha moment that they can actually go after a dream that they've always wanted to do or an
yeah,
aha moment on like how actually great they are and
yeah,
that they can help someone else. But like I said early on, I don't care if someone's helping one person, five people, or millions of people. Let's just help each other. And
yeah,
that's what I think takes leadership is the confidence to just go, hey man, here's my hand, grab it. I got you. Let's go move on to the next thing. Here's what you do really well. And, it just raises the spirit, I think, of things in the environment, and that I think
yes,
is important.
yes, yes, yes. Knowledge bomb. This is amazing. Thank you. Man, you dropped some bombs on us today. Listen, everyone, look her up on the internet and, check out her content, check out course and her courses. I believe there's more to come. There's more out there. So I want you to do this. If someone wants to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
The best is to go to my website, which is hard to spell, but I know you'll probably put it in show notes, but it's jennacapozzi.com. At my website, jennacapozzi.com/courses.
Courses.
And the course is called How to Actually Know What Your Audience Wants.
Okay.
Yeah, I made it. It used to be like $250. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send this out. This is $47. People are buying it like crazy right now and really having wins from it. So.
Man. On behalf of the Lead to Greatness community, I want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and added value to us all.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's great. You're doing a great thing there.
We want to thank you for joining us today on the Lead to Greatness podcast. So remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace.